Johnston was nowhere to be found. Leo took out his detector for a first reading, anyway. But Graham grabbed his arm, saying, "No, don't do that. Mr. Johnston said to wait for him." But Leo replied, "Johnston's your problem. Hey, look, billionaires don't impress me, and I'm not waiting. I've got work to do." Graham grabbed Leo's arm hard with both hands and shouted, "You're gonna wait." Leo pushed him away, turned on the detector, and it immediately sounded an alarm. "Holy moly," Leo yelped. "It's off by 0.131%. Something could happen here at any time. Let's get out of here." "We're staying until Mr. Johnstone arrives," Graham shouted. The river below them started to churn, and huge bubbles belched to the surface. Leo yelled, "You can do what you want. I'm leaving." He started jogging away, but Graham blocked him. Leo made a fake to the left, and he ran to the right. But before he got up speed, two slimy hands grabbed his shoulders. "I'm here now, kid. Slow down. Take a breath. Say, I like the look of that shiny device you got there. And since you're leaving, how's about you hand it over to me?" Leo wrenched himself free from those slimy hands. He turned and came face to face with the ugliest walrus that ever swam out of a sewer. "This is my invention, and I'm leaving with it now." Graham came up from behind and wrapped his arms around Leo. Johnston took a step closer and pulled the detector out of Leo's hand. Leo shouted, "Hey, give it back. That's stealing. And what's going on here, Graham? Let go. What kind of worm are you?" Then he elbowed Graham in the gut, spun around, and put a headlock on him. "Spit it out. What's going on? Tell me now." Leo held his neck so tightly Graham could only sputter and struggle. Johnstone said in a syrupy voice, "If you free my colleague, I'll tell you what you want to know." Leo let go. Graham fell on his face, coughing, and Johnston continued, "You see, young man, I made my billions by seizing opportunities, and I see a big one right here. Consider what happened when the U.S. government allowed private companies to send passengers into space. Well, hundreds of adventurous people came forward, and they were rich, adventurous people. They queued up to pay millions of dollars each to travel into space. What if they could take a trip into a wormhole? They'd pay millions for that, too. Your wormhole detector will allow me to relieve those rich guys of their money. And that's why," raising the wormhole detector above his head, he said, "you can kiss this shiny little device goodbye." "Forget it," Leo shouted. "It's mine and you're not getting it." "But you're forgetting I already got it, young man." Johnson had a big, sicky smirk on his face, and it showed his slimy teeth. He pointed up to a hill where three big, tough guys were leaning on a gold limousine as long as a truck. "And I pay those three to make sure I always get what I want, and I keep what I want." Leo yelled, "Your idea's crazy. Nobody knows what would happen if a person entered a wormhole. They could be crushed. They could die. They could be spit out in some unknowable place millions of years ahead or behind us." Johnstone answered, "Not my problem. I'll make the suckers pay me in advance. They'll go into the wormhole your detector locates, and I don't care if they ever come back. Now let me tell you where your friend Graham's invention comes in. I'll use that in my advertising to attract even more suckers. Imagine a website with fancy graphics and videos saying how great it would be to travel to the future. I'll tell the greedy ones they can communicate back and make money in the stock market. I'll tell the do-gooders they can help all of mankind by warning what will happen if we don't recycle or stop driving our polluted cars. Ha! I can say anything. He'd just cackle like a crazy man. It doesn't matter if it's true, you silly boy. I'll make the idea of going into a wormhole so appealing, your detector won't be able to find enough wormholes for me. Leo shouted, "That's just cruel and wrong. Your lies would lure people to their deaths." "Like I told you," Johnstone said, "if the suckers die, that's their problem. It ain't mine. They'll disappear. No one will know if they're alive or dead, and I'll have made another few $1 billion. Leo shouted, "My invention will never be part of such a dastardly scheme." "Ha, ha, ha," Johnstone laughed. "Well, I have the detector right here in my hand, and I don't see what a young guy like you can do about it. Be smart, young man. Accept that you've been beaten and enjoy watching me become richer." "At this minute, I may not know what I'm going to do," Leo said, "but I'll do something, and you won't like it." Now Leo's threat jarred Johnstone, and his face darkened. With a deep growl, that walrus said, "You're not as smart a kid as I thought you were." Facing up the hill where the 3 thugs were standing, he called out, "Get yourselves down here and take care of this one. I don't want him causing trouble now or ever. And while you're at it, get rid of that one too," he said, pointing at Graham. Then Graham howled like a sad puppy. "Hey, I thought we were partners." Johnstone said, "We were, Graham, my naive young boy. But I don't need you any longer." Johnston's syrupy, slimy voice made Leo sick, but he continued, "You served your purpose and brought Leo and his detector to me. Sure, you invented some device, but I don't care about it, even if by some miracle it should work. It might as well be a sausage, because none of the suckers who pay me millions will ever get to use it after they've disappeared down a wormhole." Just then, the air became heavy. Leo noticed it and asked himself, "Am I just depressed that everything's going wrong?" Then the ground shivered under his feet, and the high reading on his detector rattled in his head, making him sweat. He was wondering what would come next when a small jet of water shot up, and it collapsed into itself, and it formed a small whirlpool. He thought that must be why people used to call this place the Spitting Devil. As all this was happening, Uncle Amerigo was stuck in New York's midtown traffic. Aunt Lolabelle was with him, nestled down in the passenger seat of the big black car, and she was researching on her telephone. "Hey, I don't like what I'm reading here," she said. "That billionaire Leo's going to meet is a real creep. Made a lot of money, but it's ill-gotten, and he has ties with New York mobsters. On top of that, he's suspected of having murdered his last business partner." Exhaling in a whistle, Margot said, "Whoa, our nephew Leo is a capable guy, but he just might need help dealing with mobsters and murderers." Margot looked around and checked that no pedestrians were near the car. Then he flipped a switch beneath the dashboard, and the car rose straight up into the air. He flipped a second switch, and wings were out from under the doors. The car hovered just 8 feet above the traffic until he gunned the engine, and it shot up, toasting the golden arches of the McDonald's right there on the corner. He arced the plane to the north, and within 2 minutes, Lolabelle and he were hovering over Spuyten Duyvil, fighting against a fierce wind blowing toward a whirlpool that had formed in the river. Lolabelle assessed the situation on the ground and said, "Hey, set it down in front of those 3 thugs running down from the hill and hit them with a blast from the side burner. I'll take it from there. That creep on the wall above the river is entirely too close to Leo. You take care of him, and then let's get ourselves out of here before that river swallows us."